In this lecture, we'll be working on the chandelier. Okay, so I think one of the last things we're missing is the candles and the rope that supports this chandelier in the middle. You can't see it on there, but it is actually a cartwheel, so it's got pieces that go across. So we'll create those first. So Shift right click, Shift A to add, and we can do a cylinder. And we'll make it quite small in terms of the vertices, so we can go to probably 6. It looks a bit blocky, but if we bring it down to here, you can see that it still looks quite rounded, even though it's only got 6 sides. I'll zoom in on that. I'll select the actual cartwheel as well, and then go again into isolation mode. In fact, let's go to layout mode so you can see what's going on a bit more easily. So isolation mode with this, that's / numpad, top view, and RX90, bring that across. Just thinking for the best position to start this off. So let's scale this down. We do want something in the middle actually, so let's select the outside shape, Shift S cursor selected, and add in a cylinder in the middle there. I'll put 8 for this, you could even go 7 or something like that, that's fine. So that's our middle section there, and scale Z. And these are going to go into the middle section. Okay, so that's actually a good size, but we want the object to line up with the 3D cursor. So just go in a little bit closer and line it up a little bit better. So G then X, that looks fine. Okay, so let's make sure this is lining up okay. So G then Z. We could have a little bit more shape to this, so I can go into edit mode, do a loop cut in the middle there, maybe a couple, and then just scale down the ends. I'll change the individual origins so it doesn't scale into each other, and scale. So it's got a bit of shape to it like that. That looks good. And we can either move the pivot point to the center, or we can just use the 3D cursor. It'll make more sense, I could scale them and so forth if I have the pivot point here. So right click, set origin to 3D cursor. And I'm going to press Alt D to do a link duplicate and then rotate 45 degrees. That'll give us quite a few. I think that's fine. Press enter and then Shift R to keep repeating that all the way around. And we've got our simple sort of cartwheel thing there. And I think I could probably give these the same material as this. I know that's got 2 slots. That should be okay if we link materials. Yes, it takes the first slot. Okay, and then we've got the wire going up. So I'll just come out of local view again. And I can just duplicate this, Shift D to duplicate, scale it down a bit. And I was a little bit sort of lazy with my reference. A chain might be quite fun, so you can use toruses to go up the top there. I might do that now, actually. I shouldn't be lazy, should I? Sometimes it depends on how visual these things are going to be. And to be fair, that's a good spot to put a chain in there. And we could even have chains coming down here to hang it as well, which would be quite fun. So we ought to be doing that sort of thing. So Shift A to add, and we can put in a torus. You could use a circle and then a solidify or a skin modifier to do the chain. A torus should be fine though. We'll have to bring the segments down quite a lot. So let's bring it down to 6. We can have a sort of very blocky chain like that. Might be a little bit too chunky, so 8 would probably be better. And this is segments going around the outside, so we can probably go 6 for that. Yes, that should be fine. It does depend on how low poly you want to go. You can even go 5 for this, and you can get away with 5 as a sort of circular shape, and it will still work. In fact, I'll do that just so you can see how low you can go, as it were. So I'll go, in fact, no, I need this to be an even number ideally, but let's go 6 and see. 6 would probably be okay. Yes, I think 6 will be okay, and 5 for the segments there. Okay, so we've got our torus there, and we'll scale that down, and we'll scale in the X. So it becomes like a chain, like so. Rotate around the X 90 degrees, bring that up. Probably scale it down a little bit more, G then Z. And then we can Shift D, G then Z, R90, Z90. And let's bring that right up to the top so they're touching. In fact, I want to use Alt D. If you forget to press Alt D, you can select both of them. This is the active object, Control L, and link object data. Now they're linked duplicates. So if I change one, all will update. That could be quite handy if I chose the wrong amount of vertices and I wanted to make it look a little bit more detailed. So we should just be able to duplicate these two now. So Alt D again and Z. And then I should be able to press Shift R to repeat that last action. And that's fine. We're going up to the top there. Let me see. Do we want to... I think that should do as a chain. It's quite thick, actually. If you want to select them all at the same time, you can press Shift L for Select Linked and Object and Data. And I'll use the 3D cursor. So 3D cursor there and scale them all down. And probably around this sort of size, so I can select these two. In fact, maybe these 4? Is it 4 going to fit? Probably no. We'll do 2 at a time. So Shift D, Z, move those up. Actually, 2 looks about right, to be honest. Oh, no. Let's do 2 more. There we go. That's about right. It's touching the ceiling now. I'm thinking maybe we want chains coming out here as well. So perhaps at this point, the chains vary and go off at an angle. So let's try this and rotate 45, I think. And we'll just extend these out. So Alt D. And probably this one, Alt D. Will that reach? Well, it's not actually reaching, but I think that's going to be okay. I suppose actually, let's select these 2 here. Alt D. I'll just press Shift Y because I've moved out of the axes. And that's better. So we can select from this one all the way down. And let's go to top view, isolation mode, sorry, local view, top view. And I'm just going to move the 3D cursor in. Alt D, R 120. Looks like I did that wrong somehow. Oh, I'm on individual origins, am I? That doesn't make sense. Alt D, R, Z 120. Not sure what I pressed there, but something wrong. And then Shift R to do that again. And we got our links there. That's good. Back out of local view, and we've got our chains there. Should just be able to change one and give it a material. That should update on all the rest. So let's go to shading and give it the black cauldron. And I must have accidentally pressed Shift D for these last few here. So let's select those, select that one, and Control L, link object and data. Missed that one though. Okay, so we've got an interesting looking chain, which looks quite fun really. I like that. It's better than my last one. Okay, so the last thing is to put the candles on top. I put them on tiny kind of discs, which is nice and easy. Again, we'll select the cartwheel thing into local view, top view, and on one of the corners here. I always go for the corners so I'm not at an angle with these other ones. So Shift right click to move the 3D cursor, Shift A to add, mesh circle. This can be quite a low density, maybe even 5. A bit too low that, 6. That should be fine. Scale that down. That's our disc for our candle to sit on. And then into edit mode, fill that in and add modifier solid for the solidify. Let's try that again. And let's have a quick look at how we want that to be. So we'll go to object mode, set the scale, or apply the scale, I should say, and see about the thickness. We'll go the other way. That looks good. And then once again, we want to duplicate that round. So I'll select this object, Shift S, cursor to selected, and let's select that and that into local view. And I want to duplicate this one with Alt D. Just make sure that I'm on the 3D cursor. Yes, I am. And in fact, I want to see how many I want to put around. So this, yeah, probably at every end here. Yeah, I think that's going to work fine. Looks a bit big at the moment, actually, so I'm going to scale that in a little bit. About there should do. Into layout view, so we can see what's going on a bit more. I'll select these top things here and go into local view. Into top view, select that one, and make sure I'm in 3D cursor. Alt D, R45, and Shift R to keep repeating that. That's interesting. Shift R. Not sure what happened there. Something's gone wrong. Let's try that. Alt D, R45. Shift R. I think there's a glitch there. Surely that should work. So let's just Alt D, R45. Shift R. And now it's working. Just some sort of glitch, as always with Blender. Okay, so we seem to be fine there. Let's bring a candle in now to put on top of it. So I can just select one of these candles down here. So this one here, Shift D to duplicate. Yes, Shift D for this, and I'll bring it across in the X, and then Alt P, so clear parent that is. And I do need a light on it, so Shift right click, Shift A to add, and then a light and just a little point light, so it's going to shine everywhere. Onto my light settings, and we want a nice yellowy light. Yellowy sort of orangey light, and we'll turn that up to something like 100 and change this as we go. I probably want to call this single candle light. I should call the other ones as well, but I haven't. But we'll know these ones because they are single candle light. And we'll want to do a empty for this as well. So let's select the top bottom face, Shift S, cursor selected, and Shift A to add empty with a single arrow. And let's join these all to that empty. Control P to object. I might put these in a different collection. So move to new collection, what do I call this? Chandelier. How on earth do you spell chandelier? Chandelier? Lear like this? Oh, who knows? It'll look stupid now, but it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. Well, it probably does to someone. Okay, so I'm going to move this now. Let's just check they all are all parented. Just remove the ceiling for now. And with that selected, we can move them into position. Have I got snapping turned on? I'm not sure I have actually. Turn snapping on. I don't know where that moved to. So I'll undo that. I've got snapping on. G to grab. Let's turn the center, let's turn closest on. Oh, is it because I've got the 3D cursor again? That's what it is. It doesn't like the 3D cursor movement when I've got center selected. It's good to remember that. So G to grab. Let's try and actually grab that object. There we go. Got it now. Scale that down so it's a reasonable size. Let's zoom in and see. I could make these a little bit bigger, I think. So I'll go into edit mode for this to make them bigger. So tab into edit mode. And the reason I'm in edit mode is so that they all change. And that's good. They look a little bit strange with the shape of them, but that's fine. That'll be all right. Let's actually change these to have the same material as this. So Control L, link materials. And then this, we can move to the middle now. We should be able to move the 3D cursor in the center here. And duplicate these. So I need to select the children and then the empty. And I probably want to do a linked duplicate. So Alt D. In fact, undo that. We need to use the 3D cursor first. So Alt D R45. And then Shift R. It's working this time. And we got these candles. Now, they all look very uniform at the moment, so we can go in and just change a few of them. So if I select these ones here and change to individual origins this time, and scale in Z, and R then Z to move them around. Having two next to each other the same isn't quite right, so let's rotate that. This one and this one. We'll scale them up a little bit. Just in the Z and R then Z. Rotate them around, and now they look fairly different, I would say. Just rotating by the Z is really good for making things look like different objects. Make that one a bit smaller, like so. Okay, so we've got the candles up there, and they're just about working, I think. I feel a little bit like they're too big at the moment. So let's select all of these. And again, individual origins, make sure that's on. Scale them, Shift Z. So you've got sort of tall candles at the top there. And maybe a little bit smaller. They look about right. I feel though these are actually a little bit wide, so I'm going to go into edit mode and scale them in. I think that's a bit better. Lovely stuff. But let's bring back our ceiling and see how we're looking. So, as always, make sure you've caught up with me and that you've saved your work ready for next time.